Zorb here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a simple platformer in GameMaker Studio. Go ahead, open up GameMaker Studio, and click on the New tab. You can then name your project whatever you want. For example, YouTube Basic Platformer is what I'm going to name mine. Now click the Create button. Here is your development window where you're going to be making your game. You can either use the screen Pac-Man button or right click on sprites and click Create Sprite to create your first sprite, which is basically the image, so the picture of Mario that you move around in Mario Brothers. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name mine S Player for Sprite Player. Click Edit Sprite and then the little white page and OK. Now you'll have a small window that you can double click on to open, and this is basically like any image editing program you've ever used. For example, Paint or Photoshop. You have some simple tools that you can use on the left, pick your colors on the right, and it's as easy as that. Once you make something that you're happy with, click the green checkbox, the second green checkbox, and the OK box. I'll be using a circle for these purposes. Create another sprite, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name mine Block because that's what we're creating. Edit Sprite, the little page again, and 32 by 32 will work fine. You can set your size to whatever you want if you want more complex pictures for your characters. Now double click on that little window and it opens up the same basic image editing program. I'm going to make a small black square. You can either use the rectangle tool for something like that, or you could use perhaps a line tool and fill it in with a paint bucket. Either way, those are just two of the things you could use. Now click OK, just same as before, and you have your two sprites. Now you can either click this little green ball at the top, or right click on objects and click Create Object to get your first object. And an object is what actually has logic inside of it and that you can move around and play with. I'm going to name mine O Player for Object Player, and then you can select a sprite. I'll select the player. And now you have events and actions. Events are things that happen, and actions are what you do when those things happen. For example, add event create. So when the object is created, in actions we'll want to scroll over to control, click on it, and then drag out the little page for the page of code, and type into this gravity equals 4 semicolon, and this is like a sentence. It's saying that it'll set the gravity of the player to 4, and the semicolon is like a period. Now press enter and type gravity direction equals 270. So that's the direction that the gravity will face. 270 is the ground, 90 is up in the sky, 0 is right, and 180 is left. Click the green checkbox to continue. Now we have what happens when our player spawns in, but we also want to have it be able to move. So add event keyboard left. So when you hold down the left key on your keyboard, drag out the little page of code and type hspeed equals -4 semicolon. And this says that it'll set the horizontal speed of your player to -4. Think of this like a number line. When you move left, you're moving negatively. When you're moving right, you're moving positively. So if we want to move left, we'll move the player by -4 while they hold down the left button. Now add event keyboard right while they hold down the right button, and we'll want to set the H speed to 4. So the player will continuously move 4 to the right while you hold down the right button. Click the checkbox. we'll want to add one more event for now. So click that, click on keyboard and select no key. So when no key is pressed, drag in the piece of code and type hspeed equals 0. So when you're not pressing anything, your player will stop moving. Now go ahead and click OK, and we'll want to create another object just like we did before, this case named block, and set the sprite to be the block sprite. We want to set this object to be solid and click OK. That's all we need from it. Now I want to go back to the player, add event, collision, block. So when the player collides with the block, drag out a piece of code and say vSpeed equals 0. vSpeed stands for vertical speed. Because the player has gravity, it'll be moving downward, vertical speed, and we want it to stop moving downward when it hits a block so that it doesn't fall through the floor. So that's what that is doing. Now click OK and press the little green play button up in the top left corner, and you'll see that we need at least one room to run the game. So you can either click this little room button or right click on rooms and click create room, and then you can name the room whatever you want. I'll say room level 1. You can set the width and height to whatever. For this example, I set it to 640 by 480. Now click on the Objects tab, click in this little box, and you can choose whichever object you want to place down. I'll choose block. And now you click within the room to place down the object of the type that you just selected. Once you're done with the block, you can click up here and click player and press your left mouse button to place down your player, and click the check box at the top of the room window. And now if we try to run the game, you'll see that once it gets past the splash screen, we can now move left and right, and we're standing on the ground. There's only one more thing we need to do for this simple platform game. So X out the game window and double click on the player. What we want to do is make the player jump. We want to add an event, and this will be a key press. So instead of holding down the button, it's just when you click the button. And we will set that to be space. So space is the button we click when we want to jump. Go over to the Control tab and drag over the piece of code into Actions. What do we want our character to do when we jump? Well, imagine a number line rotated 90 degrees, and that is up and down. When you move up, you're moving at negative vertically, and when you're moving down, you're moving positive vertically. So we're going to set our v-speed equal to negative, let's say 25, semicolon, so that the player will move upward at a speed of 25 when you press space. Click the green checkbox, click OK, and click the green play button. And now we'll see when the game starts that we can move left and right, and now we can jump. But that is not all. We also will notice that when we spam the spacebar key, you start flying, and we don't want that. So you can close out your game window, double click on your player again, and you'll want to add a variable. And this variable will say, is the player on the ground? And if so, it'll let us jump, and if not, it won't let us jump. So we want to go into create, add a new variable. We'll name it in jump and set it to false. When you collide with a block, it'll set in jump to false. So when you're on the ground, you're not jumping. And when you press space, it'll say if in jump equals false, then it'll make you jump. and it'll set in jump to true. Alright, so you're now done. Go ahead and click the checkbox and the OK box, and you finished your game in just 10 minutes. Go ahead and run it. And here we are. Move left and right. Press space to jump. We cannot fly anymore. And yeah, this is pretty cool, but it's only the start. Congratulations, you just completed your first GameMaker game and only took 10 minutes, so I hope that you learned something from it. If you did, then go ahead and click on my channel and you'll find more videos to watch and hopefully learn more from to help you on your game making journey. And that is all for now. Thank you for watching.